You were too real for them, and they couldn't stand it. You see, in a world where so many people wear masks, where everything is about fitting in, about saying the right things, about being liked, you dared to be yourself. You were unapologetically real, and that was something they just weren't ready for. And now, they're left feeling uncomfortable, because you didn't give them the version of yourself they expected. You gave them the truth, and that was too much for them to handle. They wanted you to play along, to pretend, to be just like everyone else. To water yourself down, to conform. But that's not who you are. You've always been different. You've always been someone who speaks your mind, who lives by your values, who doesn't hide behind a facade just to make others feel comfortable. And that scared them. Because your authenticity made them realize just how much they'd been pretending. They tried to silence you, to make you doubt yourself, to make you feel like you were too much. But deep down, you knew you weren't too much. You were just enough. You were real, and they weren't ready for that level of honesty. They wanted you to fit neatly into their box, to follow the script they had written for you, but you tore that script up and wrote your own. And that terrified them. When you're real, when you show up as your true self, it's a powerful thing. It's rare. It's raw. And it's something most people don't know how to deal with. They're used to people who pretend. They're used to surface-level conversations, to interactions that are safe and predictable. But you were never one for surface-level anything. You've always gone deeper. You've always been the one who asks the tough questions, who speaks the truth even when it's uncomfortable. And that made them uneasy. It's not that there's something wrong with you. No, the problem was never you. The problem was that you were a mirror, and when they looked at you, they saw a reflection of all the things they were afraid to be. Your realness exposed their own fears, their own insecurities, their own inability to be authentic. They couldn't handle it because you forced them to confront parts of themselves they've been running from. They wanted you to tone it down, to be quieter, to be smaller. But why should you? Why should you dim your light just because it shines too brightly for some people? That's not your problem. That's their problem. You weren't put here to fit into their limited view of the world. You were put here to be exactly who you are, and if that's too much for them, so be it. You can't sacrifice your authenticity to make others feel comfortable. It's not your job to make them feel at ease with your realness. It's funny, though, people will say they want the truth. They'll say they value honesty and authenticity. But when they come face to face with someone who actually lives that way, they panic. They don't know what to do with it. Because they're so used to lies, to pretenses, to putting up walls. When someone comes along who's real, it shakes them. It forces them to confront the fact that they've been hiding. And that's what happened with you. You were too real for them, and they didn't know how to handle it. But here's the thing, you don't need them to handle it. You don't need their approval, their acceptance, their permission to be who you are. You are enough just as you are. You are real, and that's your power. That's your gift. And while some people may not be ready for it, others will be. The right people, the ones who value authenticity, who are also real themselves, they'll recognize your worth. They'll see your realness for what it is, a strength. Being real isn't easy. It means standing firm in who you are, even when others try to knock you down. It means speaking your truth, even when people would rather you stay silent. It means showing up as your full, authentic self, even when others want you to shrink. But that's what makes it so powerful. That's what makes it so rare. You were too real for them, but that's okay. Because you weren't put on this earth to make everyone comfortable. You were put here to make an impact. And sometimes, making an impact means shaking things up. It means being so real that it forces people to see the world in a new way. It means challenging the status quo, and sometimes, that means you'll lose people along the way. But that's okay. The people who can't handle your realness aren't your people. The ones who can will appreciate you more than you could ever imagine. There will be those who see your authenticity and feel threatened by it. They'll try to tear you down, make you feel like there's something wrong with being real. But let me tell you this, there's nothing wrong with being real. In fact, it's the only way to truly live. When you're real, you attract what's meant for you. You attract people, opportunities, and experiences that are in alignment with your true self. You don't have to pretend or force anything. Things flow to you naturally because you're living in your truth. You might lose people, yes, but you'll never lose yourself. And that's what matters. You'll never have to look in the mirror and wonder who you've become because you've stayed true to who you are. And in a world where so many people are lost, where so many people are pretending, that's the greatest victory you can have. So let them go if they can't handle your realness. Let them talk. Let them judge. Let them be uncomfortable. You were put here to make everyone happy. You were put here to be real. To be you. And the right people will love you for it. The right people will celebrate your authenticity. They'll admire your strength. They'll appreciate your honesty. You are too real for them, but that's not a weakness. That's your power. And while they may not have been able to handle it, that doesn't mean you should change. Keep being you. Keep being real. Because, in the end, that's what will make all the difference. You'll look back and realize that being real was the best decision you ever made. Because the truth is, authenticity is freedom. It's freedom from the need to fit in, freedom from the fear of judgment, freedom from the pressure to be anything other than who you are. You are too real for them, and that's okay. Let them go. Keep being you. Keep standing in your truth. Because in the end, being real is the only way to truly live.